This probably isn't the answer you want, but it might just be the one that you need. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. In fact, just to show you what I mean, I'm not going to make one single cut in this entire video, because if you're trying to get better at talking to the camera, unfortunately, there is no secret. Not many people will tell you this, but there is not really a shortcut to do so, to get more comfortable talking to the camera. Ultimately, what I found works best is you just have to do it. Yes, you can work on your charisma, but ultimately, look at the videos that you're making. Don't even post them if you're uncomfortable with them at first. Just record yourself talking to the camera and don't try to sound like you know more than you do. Just, you hear people say it, be yourself, but ultimately talk like you're talking to one of your friends. But make that friend the camera. Do this over and over and over and over again and review the videos that you make. You're gonna hate the sound of your voice at first. I know I did. Sometimes when I'm editing through, I still do. It's not something that necessarily goes away, but you become more accustomed to the sound of it and it becomes at least bearable. So you do that. Review things that worked well, things that didn't work well. Look at your speech patterns. If you have a lot of ums and ahs, how can you get rid of that? Something that helps me, something that I'm actually doing in this video is I'm allowing for small pauses in my words, because what that does is it allows me to catch up on what I'm saying. I'm not talking too fast where I'm rushing over my words. If you look in some of my videos, I will do this. And then what I have to do is I'll end up stepping over my words and I have to go back and say the lines again because I'm completely tongue-tied and it just doesn't work. But you do it long enough and you start to find your natural rhythm of how fast you can talk without talking over your words, without stumbling around, without stuttering or anything like that. For me, this is that pace. This is what works for me. You will notice I haven't really put a single or ah. Sure, I'll say the beginning of a word like 2 or 3 times sometimes, but it's not always. So if you're wanting to be a content creator, create videos for YouTube, TikTok, Reels, it doesn't matter. If you want to start creating content and you're nervous because you don't know how to talk to a camera, there's only one way that I've really found to get better at it, and that's to do it. And if you're too embarrassed to start and post it online, the first thing is you don't have to post it. You can just share it to yourself. Don't share it anywhere. Just look at it and reflect and think, what could I have done? Not in a self-deprecating way, but look at it objectively. Look at it with an unbiased mind and go, okay, what works here, what doesn't? Look at other creators. Okay, what do they have? You don't have to inflate your personality and make it so big. That's not gonna work always. A lot of YouTubers at the beginning will do this. They'll have this really high energy and then that feels inauthentic, especially in a day and age where people are prioritizing authenticity. That is not something that'll work. It can work for the right demographics, but if that's not the audience that you're trying to cultivate, then don't put on this face of like you've just drank 10 cups of coffee. And if that is who you are, if you have a really bubbly personality, then sure, but also don't diminish your voice at the same time and you want to hide because you're scared of what people will think. Just talk like you're talking to somebody directly and it will have the best results. Like I said, you see the way that I'm talking now. And the other thing is, at first, when you start posting stuff, when you start talking to the camera like this, nobody will care. Nobody will actually watch it. And for me, that took a lot of pressure off of it. Sometimes people still don't watch, and that's fine because I keep doing it anyways. And if you show up and you're consistent enough, eventually people will start taking notice if what you're making is interesting, if it's relatable, if there's a storyline to it, anything of that sort, people will be able to connect to, and then they'll want to connect with you as a creator. That builds a creator to audience relationship, And then you're able to, do this content creation thing fully. At least over the past couple years, that's kind of what I've realized. Things that I wish I knew when I started. You sometimes hear people talk about aspects of this, but then you go through it and you realize it on another level. So hopefully if you're an aspiring content creator, if you're trying to even find a way to talk better on camera, if you do a lot of interviews, let's say, and you just want to be more candid, you feel like you're not really yourself in them, this is a way to do that. Practice it all the time. Practice, practice, practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes better. Because I don't believe there is such a thing as perfect, there is just better than you were before. And if I can compete with myself yesterday and be better than that person, then I'll be better than I am. Then I'll be better tomorrow than I am today. You see, I just stuttered, but I'm gonna leave it in there. I did it again. And it's because I'm starting to talk a little too fast. So sometimes you just need to slow down. Take a pause, allow for your brain to catch up with your mouth. Sometimes I need to do this more than you would think. But ultimately, those are my findings as a content creator. That's how I would get better at talking to the camera. That's how I've gotten better at talking to the camera. If you look at my early videos, they're still up. You can see the difference. And all of this was done in one take. No cuts, no ums, no awkwardly long pauses, just enough for me to think about what I'm saying. Just enough for me to have the words ready at my mouth